I would think these moves indicate you're going with the 8-man bullpen. Is that the thought process behind sitting down Jose?
It is. That was. We had a handful of hard decisions as we near the end of camp. Jose was one, especially with what he did last year, basically the whole year with us. A few short days early in the season, but he's a good man. He's gotten better. He's worked hard. We do have the opportunity now to get him some significant time at third base in AAA and see if we can speed up that development process. But we're going to go with an 8-man bullpen and just feel that it's the best way to get us off to a good start from a pitching standpoint. The 3 games in Detroit with the DH help. But I would anticipate, especially with the 10 days that we have, a player has to be down on option, that we'll be at an 8-man bullpen for longer than that. An injury can always change that, but it is the way we'll start the season, and we may be there longer than just Detroit.
Would you like Jose to also get some work in the outfield a little bit in AAA? Is it going to be focused mainly at third?
Focused mainly at third with a bit time in the outfield. Again, it's hopefully a short opportunity. Hopefully our pitching stabilizes and we go back to the normal balance, although more and more teams are going 13 pitchers and 12 position players, even in the National League. But it's a good opportunity for him to go get a cluster of innings at third base.
With Jordan Milgrath on waivers, is it possible that you guys will try to work out a trade with Cleveland to keep him in minors here?
That would be confidential information that if it were accurate, I couldn't share with you anyway, but we still have the process to play out with Jordan.
What was missing from Crick?
It was more just where Santana, Smoker, and Neverauskas have in our minds the ability to help this club as with weapons, with the totality of what they've done last year, what they've done this spring, what we anticipate them doing, and that's the hard part. Kyle had a really good second half of the season in San Francisco last year. Dovey and Santana showed quality signs with us in the second half of the big league season. It was more just we felt this was the right group to take north. We're going to need Kyle. We're going to need him at some point, hopefully not sooner than later, because that'll be because of injury, but we're absolutely going to need him, and we remain very positive that he's going to help us win games for years into the future. Part of it was wanting to keep both Glasnow and Brault on the club to give us some length out of the bullpen and not have 8 one-inning guys. Most of our relievers have struggled as we've asked them to go that second inning. Brault and Glasnow obviously can go very deep into games and can go each handle the bat. So unlike most of your long relievers in the National League that typically have to get removed, if they're pitching well and there's 2 out and nobody on, Clint has the ability to let them hit because they can swing it a little bit.
What do we need to see from Segrist at Indy to get back to the big leagues?
Well, as we reviewed our notes from spring training, really the last 5+ years, when Kevin's had his best major league seasons, there has been more there in spring training. We don't want this to be just about velocity,
right.
But he's had more velocity when he's had his better seasons, and there has been a trend downward in the overall velocity and the average velocity, and that continued here this spring. So he faced some A lineup hitters. He got some A lineup hitters out. Some A lineup hitters hit him. So our thought in this process is let him go continue to build arm strength, let him go continue to get back to that guy that was effective in 16 and prior to that. Now he has the ability to request the opportunity to be added to somebody else's 25-man roster. We will go through that process. If somebody wants to add him to their 25-man roster on opening day, we have the ability to match that, or we make the decision that we're going to go with what we have internally. If not, then we get the opportunity to send him to AAA to have him continue to build arm strength and be in a position to help us. Much like Kyle, we have a large number of arms that we think can help us, and believe that can and will help us at some point.
How much was the struggles to pitch that second inning for some of your relievers? How much did that play into the decision to carry an extra guy in the bullpen at the start of the season?
Well, it impacted both Brault and Glasnow, both making the team because they will be our length, but they also have the ability to come in and get a very important hitter out because of the weapons that they have. Steve from the left side and Glass just because of the pure weapons he has. But with most of the other guys struggling in that second inning, I think Santana's only runs given up this spring were the 2 times we asked him to go multiple innings. I think Josh struggled in his 1 time. We asked him to go multiple innings and never struggled, I think, the 1 time we asked him to go multiple innings. So it made it hard to say that we're going to be able to get 1+ or 2+ from any of those 4 that ended up being the final decision for us. And in Kevin's case, if we get him back to where he is, we feel like he can go be a leverage reliever for us.
Have you told those three they're in the bullpen, Santana, Neverauskas, and Smoker, or could something still change there?
Something still could change. It's been a busy morning. We've got a few variables and a few options that we can go to if the Seager scenario becomes a reality. If we have to add him and we decide to add him, there's a couple of moves that we could make. Clint's been one of those guys that's been in the city with his major league team on the road and being sent back, or I think in Clint's case he talks about it getting released. So those are hard conversations. We typically like to set the club as early as we can, but yet there's always injuries and variables, players that pop up that could still be possible.
With the possibility that a couple of 40-man spots will open up in the coming days, are you guys still looking on the waiver wires or just in general from other teams to maybe go outside the club to find other options for those spots?
Yeah, we'll always look for opportunities to make the club better, and that is a possibility. Sometimes guys that are out of options, their clubs try to sneak them through. It's actually one of the better times to sneak a guy through that's out of options. We've got a little bit of flexibility, but at the same time, we like this group, and so we'll take something that we feel makes us better, 25-man roster, or makes us better organizationally to do that. But having a roster spot available makes it easier to claim a guy in waivers. The challenge becomes, do you have a spot where he's better than what you have in AAA, or he's better than what you have in that spot somewhere else?
Neal, along those lines, have you heard anything from about Bryce?
There's a process that needs to play out. That unfortunately that process was unprofessionally, and that confidence was breached by a member of the industry. So that's where that process, he's not supposed to know he's on waivers. And I can only imagine how brutal that must have been by his wife to read on social media that he was on waivers, and that's unfortunate. But there's somebody in our industry that took it upon themselves to leak that to a member of the media, and that's hard. So that was another one of the conversations that typically general managers don't have to have with players is, one, you haven't been traded, two, we're pending medicals, and three, you're on waivers. Those are conversations that aren't supposed to happen. They have.
Bray was saying yesterday that the bullpen was a tough decision, that there wasn't like guys that really made an easy decision for you. What did you like from Smoker and Never and Santana this spring?
And I mean, you can put Crick in that combination as well. The weapons, they each have a fastball that plays with swing and miss or soft contact. They each have a breaking ball that plays with swing and miss or soft contact. In different ways, they're each challenged with consistency in the zone and consistent quality of the fastball strikes or the breaking ball strikes. But really, that was a tough situation to choose two of the four if we'd carried 12, or three of the four if we were carrying 13. We think all of them should legitimately feel like they deserve to be on a Major League roster. There's probably 60 players around Major League Baseball today and tomorrow that are going to be unhappy with the decision that their clubs make, that they're going in a different direction, and those guys have a valid reason. Kyle has a valid reason. Kevin has a valid reason to feel like they should be on Major League clubs, and that's a good sign. In Neverauskas and Santana and Smoker's case, they have weapons to get Major League hitters out, and now it's a matter of going to do that consistently.
Neal, talk about what you take away this spring. What you saw, maybe some pleasant surprises, maybe some concerns. Now that we're wrapping up, what?
When you talk about living in the moment, you're asking me to review 45 days, which feels like it's been 120 at times. Austin Meadows, the health of Austin Meadows, the athlete that showed up, and the baseball player that showed up again, that was fun to see. The belief in this camp is fun to hear, and our guys, their belief in each other, their belief that we can do some special things this year. The pitching staff may not have had the numbers that we were looking for, but there's a lot of good arms in this camp, and over at Pirate City still there's a lot of good arms there. The way Corey Dickerson has just absolutely folded in, and you look at Moran and Felice, and the way they folded in, that's been fun to see. The young players that come over and do well, to see Will Craig hit a bomb, to see some of our other young guys come over and get at bats and just learn, and they'll be ready for next year when it's their time to come to Major League Camp. To see Kramer have a very nice Major League Camp, and the athleticism that took off in Arizona Fall League a year ago. To see the continued growth and maturation of our young rotation, led by Talion, with Cool and Williams. To see Joe Musgrove if you write a script to have a pitcher be successful, I'm not sure we could have written a worse one for Joe. A game on the road in Fort Myers, a game on the road in Tampa, and then on the road to Dunedin. And to see him feel like he's ready to go, we'll get him stretched out, get him to his 100 pitches, and he'll drop into our rotation, as we've said, sometime against the Cincinnati club. There's been a lot of good things. We haven't played well consistently enough for the W's to show up, but individually there's been some guys that have taken some good steps forward.
I imagine that fans will be a little disappointed that of the pieces required in the McCutchen trade, that none of them will be on the major league roster this spring. What would be your response to that criticism?
It's a fair one. We understand that. It would have been easy to put Kyle on the club because of who he was traded for, but we took the players that we felt put us in the best position to win games early in the season. Kyle is going to help us, and our belief is still there. He's going to be a really good major league reliever for years to come. Brian Reynolds is a young prospect that we think the world of, and this decision was about a longer-term view with the attempt to keep our short-term in a similar area.
Has Jose put himself in a place where he might be that first guy if you need a bench bat, or does it depend maybe on where the need is when you want to rebalance the roster, if and when you want to rebalance the roster?
With what he's done this spring and what he did a year ago and his continued growth and development, the athleticism that he picked up by tightening up his body, I mean, he's put himself in that spot that he should be, and we've told him point blank, be that guy. Don't rest on the laurels and think you're automatically that guy, but go be that guy. Go be the guy that should walk out of camp feeling like he should be on a major league club. And we've told Kyle the same thing, and we've told Kevin the same thing. Be that guy because you have valid reasons for feeling like you should be on a major league club.
Just to clarify, Kevin, some team can say to you, we're going to put him on a roster, and you basically have the right of first refusal there. You can say, no, we're going to.
Yeah, it's I'm not sure what the official, it's an upward mobility clause.
Okay.
That Clayton Richard a handful of years ago, we had the ability to, you send out an email, and every other club has the opportunity by the end of that email to come, by the end of that window of time, to come in and say, we'll put him on our major league roster. In Clayton's case, and again in Kevin's case, we have the ability to say, well, okay, we'll do that instead. Or we can, as we did in Clayton's case, we could choose to let him go because we didn't, we felt like what we had was the right group to keep at that point in time.
Neal, also to be clear, what is the number at right now in camp?
26. So yeah, we still technically have one more move to make. There's a process that will play out. So we're still at 26.
All right.